write this down. Not only we must take responsibility for what we want, you've got to make a radical change. See, 99 and a half won't get it, as Wilson Pickett would say. It's got to be 100. If we want to be about it, if we want to keep our commitment and take responsibility for changing lives, helping people to learn how to reinvent themselves, spreading and creating a shift in consciousness, we want to change the planet. And we're talking about putting over 2 or 20,000 or 100,000 people in a coliseum in a big meeting room in the year 2000 in Orlando. We're behind right now, ladies and gentlemen.
I didn't come this far to overcome this far. I hear some people saying things like, when I make it, when I get to the top. I'll keep working hard until I get to the top, until I reach my goal. Let me tell you something. There is no end. Winners never stop. If you reach your goal, set a bigger goal. If you get to the top of the mountain, find a bigger mountain. It's the journey, the continued pursuit of growth.
When we're trying to make a change, the thing that blocks us from making the change is usually stress. If I'm trying to be a kind, loving, compassionate person, but I'm stressed out, I'm likelier to be snappy and rude and condescending. If I'm trying to be healthier in my diet, but I'm stressed out or burnt out, I'm going to reach for the sugary food or the carbs and the fat. Like, that doesn't come from anything else but stress.
To take away the feeling.
To take away the feeling.
Take away the feeling, right?
Yeah.
So let's get real clear, because I think it's important for people to understand when we're talking about stress and we're talking about living in survival. It's so important to name those emotions, because anger and frustration and control and hatred and envy and jealousy and insecurity and unworthiness and guilt and shame and suffering and depression, those are all derived. Those are emotions that are derived from the hormones of stress, and psychology calls those normal states of consciousness. Those are altered states of consciousness.
We've met so many spirit killers, dream snatchers, and aspiration assassins who have installed negative commands into the black psyche, that we operate sometime in a position or from a position of invalidation and self-hatred. So there was something I learned from my teacher, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that no matter whether you met that spirit killer in your school, your house, the hood, wherever you met him, that I learned something, that if you adopt this mindset, it will serve you as a override mechanism in your brain that will put in check all of the self-defeating thoughts and concepts that our enemy or that any of the host of our enemy have installed in our minds. And that principle, law, or axiom is that there's nothing more powerful than a made-up mind. Nothing more powerful than a made-up mind.
Yes, because I wanted to prove you don't need to babysit me. Like, I'm fine, you know? And so it's always that competitive nature, the work ethic, and curiosity. Because I asked a lot of questions. Playing with Byron Scott, I asked him a lot of questions. Eddie Jones, who was great at chasing guards off the screens, and I didn't understand how to do that. I would sit with him before practice, after practice. Magic, all the Laker greats, I would always sit down and just ask them questions about certain games that I studied growing up. What actually happened there? What did you feel there and why?
The challenge. That's what makes life great. That's what makes a fulfilled life. I didn't come this far to only come this far. When I get this goal, I'll seek more. Not more things, more growth. Constantly pushing myself to be better.
Because in stress, the physiology is that we're knocked out of homeostasis, we're knocked out of balance because we're perceiving some threat, some danger, some emergency. And so the stronger the emotion you feel to whatever stressor there is in your life, the more you pay attention to it. And so in time then, you have to keep your attention on all the important elements in your life. So you sit down to do a meditation. And when you're living in stress and you're living in survival, there's only 3 things that are important in that moment. Your attention is on your body because you got to preserve it. Your attention is on something in your environment. And what's in your environment? People, objects, things, places. And you're very preoccupied with time. And when you're in stress and you're in survival, the brain goes into a default mode and it's naturally trying to predict the next moment.
And most people's idea of exercise in our society today is fill the tub, pull the plug, and fight the current. It's like, that's the world we live in today. And so it's not hard to figure out why we're getting fat and why we're feeling kind of tired and why we're building up acid in our system, consuming foods that have nothing alive in them anymore, where everything is denurtured and everything is chemicalized or radiated. So it can feel overwhelming. But I think if we got back to our common sense and if we were really committed, we can make it all work. And what I'm trying to say to you is really simply this morning. I'm going to take the morning and not talk to you about how to do this. We're going to figure out why to. Because 80% of success in anything is psychology and 20% is mechanics.
We've got to make a radical change. When you make a radical change, you're passionate about it. You don't talk to 10 or 15 people a day. You make a radical change, you're serious about what it is you're doing. You're talking to 75, you're talking to 100 people a day. When you make a radical change in your life, I had a friend that I saw him and I knew that he was not the person that I once knew. He had a religious conversion. He'd made a radical change in his life. Did not necessarily agree with him philosophically, but this guy that I knew that used to walk around with his pants all hung down, shirt out, unemployed, on drugs, high day in and day out. When I saw him in a suit, selling newspapers on a corner for a quarter, I knew something had happened to him. He'd made a radical change in his life. He dropped that heroin. Something happened to him. The people that make a difference in their lives, the people that make a difference on the planet, the people that make major contributions, a lady whose child had been killed by a drunk driver. Many people have had children killed by drunk drivers, but there was a lady who said, no, no, my child is dead, no. With everything in me, I'm going to make sure no other mother will have to go through the pain that I'm suffering. I'm going to make sure for the rest of my life I will invest my time, my energy, my money, everything to take drunk drivers off the highway.
One ray of light can travel 93 million miles to the earth in 8 minutes and 20 seconds or 500 seconds flat, because light is moving at 186,000 miles per second. So light has more power than all of that. But there's nothing more powerful not than the sun, not than the sound, not than the planet. No, there's nothing more powerful than a made-up mind. How do you know? Because thought travels on the average of 24 billion miles per second, and there's nothing in the universe moving faster than that. So it's not a cliche, it's not some warm, fuzzy self-esteem booster. There really is, brothers and sisters, nothing more powerful than a made-up mind. If you've got your mind made up, there's nothing that you want to be, do, or have that you cannot achieve as long as you live right and your motive is pure. Multiplied by a made-up mind, you become an unstoppable man and an unstoppable woman. Thank you for listening. I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
I came this far so I can be strong enough to go further. So I'll be good enough to push myself harder. I'm only getting started. This is just the beginning. I'm proud of my achievements, but that doesn't mean I'll settle for them. Proud, but never satisfied. Proud, but forever hungry. Proud and always ready. Proud, but pushing. Pushing for more. Pushing for great. A true winner doesn't seek only the title. A true winner seeks growth.
So, get in the car, get to the gym, get there, and as I'm walking onto the court, who do I see? I see Kobe Bryant, already working out. So once I set my foot across that line, I started working out. And so I worked out for a good hour and a half. And when I came off, after I was done, I sat down, and of course I still heard the ball bouncing. I looked down, I'm like, this guy's still working out. He was working out, like, it looks like he was in a dead sweat when I got here. And he's still going. And it's not like his moves are nonchalant or lazy. He's doing like game moves, I sit there and I unlace my shoes. I'm like, I want to see how long this goes. I sit out there, 25 minutes. And he got done. I said, okay, I think I've seen enough. Go play, come back. get in the sauna, get ready for the game. That game, he drops 40 on us, okay? And after the game is over, I'm like, I have to ask this guy. Like, I have to understand, like, why he works like that. Right. So after the game is over, I'm like, hey, Kobe, like, why were you in the gym for so long? He's like, because I saw you come in. And I wanted you to know that it doesn't matter how hard you work, that I'm willing to work harder than you.
The Boston College runner can't even lift her legs right now. She'll try to cross the finish line.